How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are having an awesome day. I'm Mets, and for this week's video, I wanted to talk about a relatively new Shonen Jump manga, and what I think of it so far. The manga in question is the Elusive Samurai. Now in this series, I'm going to discuss the story, characters, interactions, and anything about the story that makes it worthwhile. I also want to discuss how this manga follows the format of the hero's journey that all forms of literature follow. Also, for those of you who don't know, Shonen Jump has a tendency to abruptly end an underperforming series and force the creator to quickly rush the ending. They also force some authors to extend a series beyond its endpoint, which they did both of to the series Bleach, but that's a story for a different day. Back to the topic at hand, Shonen Jump will quickly cancel a series if it doesn't place well in the popularity polls that they do weekly. My concern with the series is that it hasn't done everything it needed to build a dedicated fanbase like some other mangas currently being published have. I just hope that the premise and the author's name alone will be enough to keep this manga going until the story picks up. For starters, I want to mention the author. Now this story is written by Yusei Matsui, who has also written the very popular Assassination Classroom. For this series, he decided to focus on a historical piece rather than a modern one like some of his other works. Besides Assassination Classroom, I only know of one other manga that he has written. It's called F-Ken, and it's about a girl who seduces a kendo club and turns the men into horny demons who go crazy during a match and destroy their opponents. Sometimes they go overboard and get disqualified, but the chick uses whatever fetish they have awoken to in order to calm them back down. You can see why this story didn't gain any traction. It was only a one-shot, but I'm glad he decided to focus on an actual historical character instead. Now, the protagonist, Hojo Tokiyuki, actually existed, but was not a very famous figure despite having such a tragic origin story. Since he wasn't a giant figure in Japanese history compared to someone like Oda Nobunaga, he made a far more intriguing protagonist since most people probably don't remember learning about him. As such, it's not a familiar tale everyone has heard of, so people shouldn't get bored easily. I surely didn't. But with it being a historical piece, I was worried about how the shonen battle aspect of the story will unfold. Fortunately, the author Yusei Matsui made the antagonists of the series all look like demons and have some type of unusual quirks to them, which causes the series to have an extra layer of depth and challenges our hero has to overcome. Now, the story begins with our hero, Hojo Tokiyuki, fawning over a samurai who works under his father. Tokiyuki is the son of the shogun who currently rules over Japan, but as a puppet ruler. The shogun doesn't have any real power. That belongs to the advisors who pretty much give out all of the commands. Anyways, Tokiyuki was plotting over the heroic samurai Ashikaga Takayuji. Takayuji, I know I'm botching that name, but I'm just gonna roll with it. So Takayuji is known as the strongest samurai under the shogunate. His main role is to handle any serious situations like the uprising of the emperor in an attempt to steal the power away from the shogun. Tokiyuki highly respected Takayuji and would often see him off whenever he went off to battle. However, Ashikaga Takayuji had some plans he was putting into motion. Instead of quelling the rebellion, he joined it and in 24 days overthrew the shogunate and restored power to the emperor. Hojo Tokiyuki was saved from death by a priest named Suwa Yorishige, who claims he has divine vision which allows him to see the future. He foretold Tokiyuki's future and informed him that one day he will become a hero. This is where Hojo Tokiyuki's story begins. Now, like all tales of heroic narratives, the Elusive Samurai follows the hero's journey format. For those of you who don't know, the hero's journey is a narrative format that most stories follow. There are about 7 major plot points in the hero's journey. There's the call to adventure, supernatural aid, challenges and temptation, revelation, transformation, atonement, and return. Now, what's important about this is how the Elusive Samurai follows this format. The call to adventure is the first point, and it's where the protagonist, in this case Hojo Tokiyuki, is first presented with a challenge or opportunity. It happens when Hojo first meets the priest Suwa Yorishige. Suwa told Hojo that he could see the future and he foresaw him becoming a hero. Hojo believed that Suwa was just a con artist and ran away. Shortly after that, we learned that Ashikaga Takayuji had joined forces with the emperor to overthrow the shogunate and have the emperor gain full control of the country. With Ashikaga's defect, the Hojo clan and their allies were severely weakened and were easily defeated and massacred. With Suwa Yorishige being his only remaining ally, Hojo Tokiyuki went with him to hide out at his shrine. This all happened in the first chapter, and we get the call to adventure, supernatural aid, and the start of challenges and temptation with the introduction of the story's antagonist, comrades, and mentor. I do think introducing the antagonist and mentor in the first chapter is cool, but I felt like the first chapter was rushed, with Ashikaga Takayuji's betrayal and all of the Hojo's allies' deaths taking place throughout a course of 3 to 4 pages. We didn't develop a connection with Ashikaga and the members of the Hojo clan, so I personally didn't feel anything during that big moment when it's revealed that Ashikaga is the antagonist. That's about the only complaint I have with the story so far. Other than that, the story is pretty solid with its setup and how the hero's journey begins. Now I just need to see how the rest of the journey unfolds. Outside of the story, there are a few things that make this manga really good. One of those things is the character Suwa Urashige. Like I said earlier, Suwa claims that he can see the future. We don't know how true that claim is because he doesn't have a lot of info about the future. He does, however, have knowledge about our time. He mentioned several times what current events during their time period are and what the future generations, our time, refers to them as. One of the best and funniest moments where this happened would be during a dog shooting event. As it sounds, it's a contest where archers on horseback shoot at dogs with non-lethal arrows. One of Ashikaga Takayuji's retainers showed up and began threatening Suwa as a traitor of the emperor for supporting the Hojo during the uprising. Suwa managed to convince him to participate in the contest. They also made a little wager where if Suwa's contestant wins, Aga Sawada, Sadamune, the retainer, has to stop harassing his people. If Sadamune wins, Suwa will step down as the lord of that domain. After Sadamune's turn, Suwa began sweating and trembling in fear. We are led to believe that Suwa underestimated Sadamune's archery skill. It turned out that he knew that in the future, the sport they were playing is considered animal cruelty, and he was pretty much asking PETA to not cancel him because it was considered normal during that time period. Another cool thing about this series is how Yusei Matsui depicts the antagonist and their unique traits. So Yusei makes all of the villains look like demons. Now they are not actually demons, but he makes them out to be metaphorical demons and depicts them as such. For example, Sadamune is known for his exceptional archery skills, and it's depicted through him having big bulging eyes since he has exceptional vision. To me, this is significant because it allows us to recognize the antagonists as monsters instead of people, and their demon form, so to speak, is represented by what they specialize in. The artwork is simply beautiful, or actually it's horrendous how demonic the villains look. I found this to be significant after reading F-Gen. Bet you didn't expect me to bring that manga back into this, but it's important because of how Yusei Matsui depicted the crazed characters. They were also monstrous, so that manga seems to be an experiment for the Elusive Samurai. I do believe that Matsui wants to depict humans as metaphorical demons, and he tried it with F-Gen but couldn't come up with an intriguing story. That's where the significance of the Elusive Samurai's art style comes into play. If the author is working on something he enjoys, he will put in the effort to keep the series going, so we can bet that the Elusive Samurai will be around for a while, which I'm really looking forward to. Now, I know I did just state that Matsui depicts the antagonists as demons, but he also emphasizes that Ashikaga Takayuji was regarded as a hero. This holds significant meanings to me because it fully displays the two different sides of history. Depending on which side you're on, history recognizes you as one thing or another. From the Hojo side of history, Ashikaga is a demon in human clothing who betrayed his master and slaughtered his retainers. While if we look at it through the Emperor's side, Ashikaga was a liberator who freed them from the shogunate's tyrannical rule. Of course, the fact that the story is told from Hojo Tokiyuki's point of view means that Ashikaga will be treated as a villain throughout the story. It is mentioned early on that Ashikaga is incredibly intelligent and manipulative. It also displays this with his demon form. We only get a small glimpse of it, but we see his eye socket having multiple eyeballs in it. To me, this means that Ashikaga can see multiple paths or plan multiple steps ahead. It's also mentioned that he used the Emperor's trust in him to spread his subordinates throughout the government to hinder it. This isn't foreshadowed. Matsui directly states it. Matsui does this a lot throughout the story where he states something happened and then shows us the events leading up to it. It has happened at least once before, but I'm assuming the reason he's rushing through the story is because there is a point he's trying to reach, and he doesn't want to leave the audience missing certain bits of information before reaching that point. which is probably why he is giving us a quick rundown of what's going on instead of just taking his time and fleshing out the characters before the betrayal. So I'll just wait and see what's the deal with that and hope Matsui made the right decision. I personally like the way the story is set up. I just wish Matsui took his time and allowed us to feel more connected to the initial cast before they were all taken away from us. I do believe the Elusive Samurai has a lot of potential with how good the artwork is and how well the characters mesh with each other. It can honestly become one of the top 3 shonen mangas after One Piece, Black Clover, and My Hero Academia ends, along with Jujutsu Kaisen and Mashle Magic and Muscles. Because honestly, they all seem like they are approaching their last arc or just started it in My Hero's case. I do feel like it can live up to my expectations, but if Matsui continues to just sprint through the plot, I feel like the story will end before it even gets the chance to take off. Jujutsu currently is incredibly popular and has the potential to jump into the top 3 right now if the current top 3 weren't currently in their best arc so far. Mashle is a coin flip, whether it can last for 200 chapters or even reach 100, but I feel pretty good about it having an arc where it's MASH against the world and having the arc alone last 50 chapters or so. I know that's me being optimistic, but I feel the same way about Elusive Samurai. They both have so much potential that there is no way they won't be good long-running series in Shonen Jump. That's going to be it for this one, folks. I would like to thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If any of you are interested in checking out the Elusive Samurai, the first 3 chapters are free on Viz Media. I recommend checking it out and forming your own opinion on it. Also, feel free to leave a comment on what you thought of it. I would love to hear your opinion. I'm also looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one, and remember to keep having fun. See ya!